Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Time Out for Black History. It's our thought for the day for March 10th, 2021. Now, I know I've been doing a lot of thoughts for the day and not much of the heavier content. I'm going to get back to some of the major episodes. Time's been pretty precious lately, but I realize that, that's an important part of this is the kind of the historical stuff. But today I wanted to make the comment, the thought for the day about a pretty controversial thing going on right now. I had a friend post on Facebook about it and had kind of tagged me in it. So I was really interested in kind of looking at it and talking about it. And so if any of you have been following the controversy at the University of Texas, their kind of school song, The Eyes of Texas, and they put together a panel to kind of look at the historical origins of it. What was it about? When was it made? Who made it? In this kind of context of the removal of statues, renaming buildings, all those things, as we've seen this kind of uptick in kind of more more complex looks at history and what these names really mean, who these people really were, and whether we want them to represent who we are and what we are. So what I found really interesting, so the committee, after a long time, put together a 50-page report, and in it they basically said that they couldn't find any direct evidence in the lyrics of it having racial intent. Now, what I really found interesting was they did acknowledge it was made during a time of racism. They acknowledged that the area in which it was created was an area with racial issues, and they acknowledged the genre in which the song was performed, minstrel shows, was also a racist creation. But they said they could not directly tie the song itself and the lyrics written in the song to a racial intent. They most definitely believe that it was white people in blackface performing this. So I thought, well, what a great example again of kind of that privilege of being able to decide that something is essentially okay when all of those other things were all still there. Their words were, according to the commission, that song was performed at a minstrel show, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was written with racist intent. Everybody knows it was a part of a minstrel show. And there's nothing about minstrel shows, white people dressing up in blackface and acting like buffoons and stereotyping. There isn't really no debate about whether minstrel shows have a racist intent. But they're saying they didn't find the direct evidence to tie the words to racism. But we all know what the intent was behind the whole idea of the show, in which that was implemented and a part of. So, again, my whole thing with this is, unfortunately, what this does is it reaffirms to hundreds and thousands, if not millions of Americans, that the past that included the oppression, discrimination, murder of a segment of this population is still up for debate on whether it was essentially all good or all bad. That just because this is tied to severe racism doesn't mean it was racist, is a piece of that too. So I don't know how you could come to that finding that it had no racist intent when every other part of it had racist intent in terms of its location, the type of genre show, all those things. So that's my take. My take is that if you have to have, and one of their other arguments was the alumni love it. People get married to it. We can't make it bad because if we make that bad, then what are we supposed to do? So I hope education comes as a part of it, that we continue every year when they play it. It creates discussions and people discuss what minstrel shows were, what their intent was, all those kind of things. and that we just don't go back to singing it like it has no negative history to it. So thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to our next conversation.